brought to you by wellnessplus.tv and made possible by the generous donations of Psychetruth Patreon supporters.
Okay, welcome back. This is Athena Jezik, and our massage series is continuing. We're going to be doing the backs of the legs today. So, I have already put oil on my hands, so I'm going to begin to put the oil on the body. Get a little bit more. Here, move your hand out a little bit. Okay, now the only place really on the backs of the legs is you don't want to go with a lot of pressure over the knee. That's another area where there's a lot of very delicate structures underneath there. Plus, it's kind of uncomfortable. The inguinal triangle is mostly in the front, so you can go a little bit deeper in there, but the part of the inguinal triangle does come into the inner thigh. So I usually start right here at the attachment, the Achilles attachment attaches down into the heel. So we're just going to ride up between the gastrocnemius muscle and then to either side of that split and then to the side a little bit more and coming in. This is an area where a lot of people get cramps. Sometimes when people talk to me about their cramping, it could be a dehydration issue, or it could be a lack of electrolytes. So you want to make sure that you have the electrolytes. Magnesium is another one that's oftentimes deficient, and that will cause cramping. Okay. So you can just knead that out a little bit, and then you can go back up and see if the sensation has changed at all. And keep an eye on if their body's having any kind of reaction. It's one way you read the body. One of the things that's important for people is not so much in massage, because your eyes will stay open in massage, but when you get into the cranial work, a lot of cranial people want to close their eyes because they feel like we're moving up into the thigh. They feel like they're feeling it better, but the problem with that is the energy exchange sometimes can take you into places that you're not really doing the work on the body. You're giving the resistance, but you could do a lot more if you'd watch the body signals. And so it's better to keep your eyes open And one of the things about energy exchange is I have discovered that when people are more medicated, that their energy is just different. And the energy that they tend to take from me is they tend to be a little more like a vampiring energy, because they're so deficient in so many things due to the chemicals that they're taking in, that they tend to suck on the energy of the person working, which is another reason you want your eyes open if you're doing deeper energetic work, so that you can guard yourself against having that kind of that vampirism happening to your energy source. You'll feel real tired if that's happening. So we're just doing really thumb irons up here in the different section of the muscles, and then I'm doing a little kneading and lifting this up nice and high and getting underneath this whole area and getting into the gluteal muscles, going with the thumbs along that hip. And then we're going to do the thumb thing down the iliotibial tract. Again, that cross fiber friction It's a very tendinous structure. And we want it to be sturdy but yet pliable. Movement in the body is always good. And we'll just kind of work the leg this way. And back down. And as you can see, the ticklish reaction is not there anymore. Okay. I'm just going to show you a little exercise thing or movement thing you can do here. You can just bend the knee. I want you to be real careful when you're doing this from the back, because sometimes people are a little rough. They don't really have the sensitivity that the back is involved in this sort of thing. So again, you want to make sure that the foot is lined up over the toe. Then you can place your hand underneath. And you just want to lift it up a little ways, being straight, and then just kind of move it back and forth. Just feeling it a little, not very much. You can turn it outward to give a rotation, and inward and outward, and protect that knee. But when you're moving this like this, you want to make sure you're moving the whole femur bone up to the hip. You're not just moving the lower leg. So you want to pay attention to that. Okay, so then coming down, we'll brush up one more time, and there we go. All right, to the other side. Just have your hand come out a little bit. Now we'll get to see if this knee is gonna react or. But overall, that's just part of working on different people, so just let them do what they need to do to work through that without encouraging a lot of discomfort. So here we are. We're going to go up, just starting in the middle, and then just kind of come around. Now, I lighten up the pressure a little bit here. I'm not going real super deep, but I'm going deep enough. And then I separate when I get to the knee. And then one side of this calf muscle and the other side of the calf muscle. And this is just a kneading petrissage type of. Okay, and then we'll do I might have forgot to do that on the other side, but you want to also do this on the back side. And back down. And again, then go slowly up it and feel if it's smooth. A lot of times it's just amazing. You'll feel the muscle when the first time you go up, it's all lumpy, kind of like a washboard. And then after you manipulate a little bit and move it around, it's very, very smooth. So that's an indicator that you've got something changed in that muscle. Okay, then we're going to go up here. Thumb, knuckle. So there's the hip. You can feel into that hip. Sometimes you can work into the hip a little bit, just going around. The joint is actually farther in, but there is a bone on the femur bone that sticks out a little bit where muscles are attached to. You can find that and work that. I'm just showing you a little more on this side because it's easier to see. Okay, and then we'll come up the center, come up on the other side, and then a little closer in. Be aware of that inguinal triangle, where that is. Now we're just going to knead the inside of the leg. Pulling and lifting and kind of wringing out, sort of like a rag full of water. And then you can come back this way. You want to probably get a basic routine going so that you do very similar things on each side of the body. And then we can bend the leg in and up and check the alignment there, making sure that the knee is over the toe. You want to keep that alignment good. Hold it there, and then we can just lift it up and down, just little tiny lifts. And then you can rotate. Now you rotate from the hip. I need to get my hand under there a little better. Rotate from the hip. You can see how the hip moves in and out up there at the hip. You can see the rotation of that hip happening. And that's good. And then we can stretch it back down. Okay, so we finished up, working on the basic massage part for the legs and a little bit of range of motion. But I thought I would show you a little bit in case you find like a trick to getting a knot out. There's not really any knots here. And it doesn't always work that way because sometimes it needs to be unwound a little more. But let's just say, for instance, that you found a knot in the right smack dab in the middle of the calf, or right to the side where the Charlie horses oftentimes come. And when Charlie horses leave, they kind of leave tight muscles. They are so painful. So let's say that you're getting a Charlie horse in your leg and you're feeling it coming. What I find is if you take your hand and put it on it and just hold it real tight onto, let's say that she's getting a Charlie horse. You know how that goes. It starts to go down in your feet, and anything you move, it starts to move to other muscle groups. It just follows it around. But I found if I can keep my hand on the Charlie horse and tighten it down, you're going to feel a massive amount of undulation and kicking and screaming down into that muscle. It's amazing what you're going to feel, but it feels really good to hold it real tight and then be still with it and hold and hold and hold it as you just witness what's going on in there. It's like popcorn going off, and it's very unpleasant as well. But if you hold it, that helps. And then as it starts to subside, you don't want to move too fast on any of the Charlie horse stuff. But then you can begin to just take your hand and carefully, you're supposed to work up, but let's say that you're by yourself. You can just very slowly move through that muscle, and you're going to feel a lot of activity that's going on under your fingers when you go over this. A thing that I find is really helpful is if you have some rescue remedy to apply as well, but if you don't, just try to work it as best you can with your hands. In fact, actually doing this really slow, I am feeling some of the muscles doing a little bit of undulating under my fingers because I'm fairly deep in there. It may not look that way, but I'm fairly deep in. So you just move really, 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 really slow. You know that if you move too quickly, it'll move down to your foot, or it'll move up into your thigh. It'll move somewhere. If this doesn't work so quickly, then it may be something that has to do with the electrolytes or the magnesium or the water. So if you can manage, if you get it at night when you're sleeping, when a lot of times they start coming, if you can have water by your bed or something just in case, and then you can go back up through that muscle very slowly and very meticulously and feeling very carefully what all it is that you're feeling under your thumb or fingers or whatever it is you're using. You can use your fingers too. There are some medications out there that will give you cramping and things like that. So if you are on medications and you find this to be a problem, I would urge you to take a look at the side effects and see if there's any cramping side effects going on. You can also refine a little bit here around the Achilles. You can go a little deeper into the Achilles, and then if you want, you can run yourself up, and it's going to widen. Here's a little tension. And if you feel tension, you really don't push deeper into it. What you do is you actually back out of it, and you're not going to really see backing out of it. It's a feeling, and I will give you a little hint of what it's like. It feels like you're backing out in the physical world, but at the same time you're developing how to project more energy into that space. And by doing that, I'm feeling all kinds of unwinding on the other side of her, where my fingers are over on the inside. I'm feeling that there's a big relationship right here of muscles that are unwinding. That's oftentimes how people do it. That's the connection of the fascia. The fascia is unwinding, and she's feeling where it's cinched down. So that's a good thing. And that's by going in and then backing out physically and pushing more energy in. The tissues that you work outside of the massage, the muscles are like the densest part that you work. If you work in this modality and you are tired of the muscles, when you go to either the lymph or you go to the fascial stuff, then you're dealing with very, very sensitive and delicate tissue that needs very little pressure. So that was interesting to find that, which I probably didn't even bother her. It was not anything that's so big that it bothered her, but it was a misalignment of some of the fascial structure in the leg. So let me run to the other side and test that little calf as well. So we're pretending like we have this cramp right here first. Okay, so we got the cramp. We're just gonna hold. Hold, hold, hold. And then you'll feel, even this way, you can even try this just like this. If you put that attention and intention in the palm of your hand, I'm grasping it. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to back my hand out at a subtle level, but at the same time I'm going to be pushing energy in, and that takes a lot of practice to do that. But when you do that, you're going to feel a whole different level of activity going on in the body. So this is unwinding some fascia. And there it goes. Now I'm going to run up and go very carefully and slowly and see if there's anything. Now I'm in the tissue. Now I'm going to back a little bit out of the tissue and push the energy in and see if I get any more feeling of correction, which there is. Okay, it feels like it's wanting me to turn a little bit. It's ever so slight. felt something let go over here where this finger is. There's some rumbling going on in there. More activity down here. Okay. And then you can test to see, and it's very smooth now. It's actually much smoother than it was. Although it felt good before, it's smoother at a much deeper level. That's where, in my opinion, that's where a lot of the fun begins, is when you can get that deep into it. But that's also where you start to experience the vampirization of energy if you're not careful, because that takes so much focus and so much attention and intention, and you're getting into a whole different sphere of work. Okay, so this is the end of the legs. We have a little more on the series. Hope you would join us for the remainder of the series. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. This is Athena Jezik. Okay, so I've got it all oiled here. Her foot is very flexible. So you can start like we did on the hands, checking the ankles a little bit, but we're going to go down to the toes and start with the toes. And of course, you remember when they're turned over, once you turn people over, you still have feet to do, so the feet get worked twice. So we're not going to go so much into the bottoms of the feet as we are in the tops of the feet. And what you can find is when you start to do that, you can correct a lot of things, because you'll be able to feel twists in the body. So you can, oftentimes you'll find that there'll be some joints that are out of joint. The sternocleidomastoid muscle, where it attaches, oftentimes will pull, when the neck is out, it'll pull the sternoclavicular joint out, and the sternocleidomastoid joint also out. And sometimes just going into those two joints and holding it and letting it take you around, like you do with cranial work, like you do with the more subtle fascial work, which is a more advanced type of work.
Introducing Yoga Plus, offering a free series every month with over 300 different videos. Take control of your health. Work out anytime, anywhere. Yoga Plus. Download now for free.